The one leaning against my husband as if they were lovers is my sister.
Forgive me, sis. I've finally met my destiny.
We met too late.
The two of them were getting excited. Then, my son arrived home. My husband firmly holds on to staggering her. My son witnessed this worst-case situation. What is this? Like a daytime soap opera?
She's the one I'm destined to be with. Divorce me and leave.
What on earth? Was this the premonition of unease I had? My name is Natasha. I'm 47 years old. It's just my husband, my son, and me in our family. Ian, my son, graduated from vocational school this year and started working. He got out into the world. And I, too, transitioned from being a part-time worker to a full-time employee at the company where I've worked for many years. Thankfully, I was offered this opportunity once things settled down with raising my child. I love my job, and my coworkers are all wonderful people. I'm very happy that my salary has increased. However, my working hours have become a bit longer than before.
So, does that mean you're asking me to help with the housework?
He put on an unhappy look on his face. I didn't say help. I just asked you to wash your own lunchbox. I had been working part-time from morning till evening, while also preparing meals, making lunches, cleaning the bath, and doing all sorts of other household chores for as long as I could remember. I thought it was just the norm. But yesterday, something struck me. After my son returned home from work, he washed his own lunchbox. It was like a bolt from the blue. Of course, that's how it should be. I felt confident in my success as a parent. At the same time, I was shocked by the reality of having neglected my husband, who did nothing. It was my fault for doing everything for him. It can't be helped, I thought, but my son, who had lived in the same environment, washed his own lunchbox. That means it's not my fault. It's my inconsiderate husband's fault. However, kindness isn't something forced upon someone. Could you at least wash your lunchbox on days when you come home late? I said it very hesitantly and politely. And yet, despite being so humble, that discontented expression, not even a trace of kindness, let alone consideration. This person must surely think of me as some kind of maid or something.
So you became a full-time employee without consulting me, and now you don't want to do housework, huh? You've become quite high and mighty.
His tone was irritating. I didn't say I don't want to do housework. Besides, I did discuss it with you. And when I mentioned the raise, you were happy too.
Did I really say something like that?
I feel foolish for waking up early every day to pack a lunch for him. Can't he imagine the stress of seeing unwashed lunchboxes from the previous day sitting in the sink? My husband lets out an exaggerated sigh.
Just buy another lunchbox. You can use them alternately.
Hearing that, I slump my shoulders in disappointment. It seems he has no intention whatsoever of washing them. The next day, I received a rare call on my phone.
Hello, sis. It's been a while.
Emily? What's going on? It was my sister, Emily. When she was 20, she worked at a company introduced by our parents. But suddenly,
I can't fit into this big country. I'm leaving,
she said, slamming her resignation letter onto her boss's desk, and fled overseas. I don't know what triggered her. maybe it was something she saw on TV the day before. She's an extraordinary person, but she's always been like this. I vividly remember the sight of our exhausted parents apologizing to the company she inconvenienced. After traveling around the world, she ended up marrying a Brazilian man. I was always amazed by her proactive and curious nature since childhood, but I never expected her to enter into an international marriage. Moreover, without any prior consultation, she announced her marriage with just one phone call, leaving the entire family stunned. After that, she returned home only once to attend my wedding, and there was hardly any contact. I mostly relied on her social media updates to make sure she was still alive. Then, I moved to another state, had a son, and kept busy, so I was mostly just thinking, as long as she's alive and well, that's good enough. For my sister to contact me out of the blue after such a long time, what could have happened? Is it a major event? Or just a whim? I braced myself, but the conversation topic exceeded my imagination.
I'm getting a divorce.
Huh? Divorce?
I'm coming back to America.
What? My sister had been living a luxurious life in a mansion with her Brazilian businessman husband. She had access to a pool, sauna, and even had maids, living a life of luxury that many envied.
The paperwork is finally done, so I'm flying back tomorrow. Sis, could you pick me up at the airport in the evening?
Huh? Even if you suddenly ask me something like that.
Please.
I have work.
Your sister is coming back home after such a long time, and you're prioritizing work?
But it's too sudden.
Please, big sis.
Big sis. A nostalgic way of addressing me. Come to think of it, my sister has always called me that. It's unfair, but when your sister asks for something, you can't help but want to help her. Okay, I'll figure something out.
Yay! By the way, can I stay at your house for a while?
Well, I guess so.
Yay! Thank you, big sis.
Even though I agreed to help, I have an important meeting scheduled for tomorrow. It's a hassle to rearrange my plans. I was pondering over this when my husband returned from work. I decided to give it a shot and ask him, and surprisingly, he immediately agreed. I appreciate it, thank you. But can you take the day off?
I have nothing important tomorrow, so it's no problem.
That's a relief. I was worried whether my husband remembered my sister's face since we hadn't seen her since the wedding.
It'll be fine. Your sister is flashy and stands out.
Though I didn't deny it, his way of putting it was harsh. I suddenly wondered if it would be okay to leave my husband and sister alone together. It's about a 1-hour drive from the airport to our home. Let's imagine it. My sister, the epitome of a party animal, causes a ruckus in the car, while my husband lectures her in a self-important manner. They're definitely not compatible. I can't shake the feeling that trouble is brewing. Hey. Please be kind to Emily.
Huh? What's that supposed to mean? I'll drive safely, don't worry.
That's not what I meant. Just get along, okay?
I understand.
I've made my point, but what is this feeling of unease? That night, my son came home and washed his lunchbox. Without a word of complaint, he also washed my husband's. As I watched him quietly, I couldn't help but think. Whoever becomes his wife will be a lucky person. It's natural to want to spend the rest of your life with the person you married. Even if it's a stubborn husband who won't even wash his own lunchbox, he's the person you chose. The words we vowed at our wedding, sharing joy and sorrow equally, weren't they a promise to be equal? We were supposed to be soulmates. We got married with confidence in our happiness. Both me and my sister were supposed to have that. How deep must the scars of divorce be? But there's no use getting depressed thinking about it. I need to change my mindset. When my sister comes back, I'll listen to her story a lot. I'll support her so she can live comfortably.
What's wrong, Mom? Are you lost in thought?
My son, noticing my contemplative mood, asked curiously. Come to think of it, he has never met my sister. I should talk to him beforehand so he won't be surprised by her unique personality when they meet for the first time. I thought about telling my husband too, but no matter how many times I called him, he was absorbed in his game, holed up in his room. He really is a selfish person. Hey, you know, Mom's sister is coming back from Brazil tomorrow. My son listened intently to my long story, looking intrigued. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. The next evening, I rushed out of the office on time. I bought my sister's favorite lasagna at the supermarket and hurried home. By the time dinner was ready, my husband's car, with my sister inside, had arrived. Welcome back. I went to the front door to greet her. My sister, carrying a large suitcase, and my husband, holding her shoulders. Huh? What's going on? Why is he holding her like that? On closer look, I noticed that my sister also had her arm around my husband's waist. Even though she's just returned from Brazil, this level of physical contact is too much.
It's been a while. I've missed you, big sis.
It seems like my sister isn't bothered by anything. Hey, why are you two so close together? I asked, feeling bewildered, and my husband responded with a look of disbelief.
You're the one who told us to get along.
I did, but isn't this going too far?
There's nothing wrong with it.
Huh?
That's right, it's natural.
Are you kidding? Feeling increasingly uncomfortable with their closeness, I couldn't help but feel displeased.
We're not kidding. You wouldn't understand our feelings, would you?
Huh?
I finally found my soulmate.
My husband's eyes sparkled. What are you talking about? That's my sister, Emily.
Emily. Yes, Emily.
What is it, George?
My sister called my husband's name in a sweet voice.
I wish we had met sooner. We wasted so much time not loving each other.
It's okay, George. We still have time to make up for it.
I watched this ridiculous charade in silence. You two have already met once at my wedding, and you even exchanged greetings back then. Okay, is this a prank? Or are you rehearsing for a musical? Can you just stop? I said it in disbelief.
It's your fault in the first place.
A sudden accusation.
If it weren't for you, we could have met much sooner.
Huh?
Today, when I saw Emily shining in the crowd at the airport, it was like being struck by lightning.
Me too. It was love at first sight when our eyes met. I felt weak in the knees.
Seriously. I sighed. Cut it out. This is ridiculous.
What?
Ian will be home soon. Let's not make a scene.
Are you trying to separate us?
It's a total joke. How did it come to this?
Come on, sis. Don't be jealous just because George chose me.
I didn't even bother to respond. Just stop it already.
You're right. Let's stop this nonsense. And let's start our happy future together.
George, you're amazing.
What am I watching here? Hey, what's going on with you two?
I've been telling you, it's destiny.
That's right.
Could it be that these two? I suddenly realized something. Was this what my intuition was warning me about? They're both prone to strong beliefs and easily get carried away. There's a possibility they're misunderstanding something. Hey, both of you. Please, calm down and listen.
Whatever you say, my mind won't change.
That's not it. There's something I need to clarify. When I said that, my son came home.
I'm home.
My heart raced. I didn't want my son to see the two of them being so close. Thinking that, I instinctively pulled my sister's arm.
Ouch.
My husband firmly embraced her as she stumbled. My son witnessed this worst-case situation. Oh, what is this soap opera-like situation?
Nice to meet you, Auntie. What's going on?
My husband answered my son's bewildered question.
Ian, did you see that? It's terrible, isn't it?
See what?
I can't be with a woman who does violence just because she doesn't like it.
What do you mean?
She's the one I'm destined to be with. You need to divorce me and leave now.
I was speechless. This wasn't something to joke about.
Don't worry, sis.
My sister, still clinging to my husband, said triumphantly. Hearing this, my son burst into laughter.
Ha ha ha. Stop it, Dad. Ha ha ha.
I couldn't help but join in, unable to hold back any longer. Ah ha ha ha.
Huh, Dad, what are you saying? You can't just get divorced, right?
My husband, unable to understand why we were laughing, got angry.
What's so funny?
My sister seemed to be in a bad mood too.
Your son is such a weirdo.
She glared at him. Whether you're serious or not, just listen to me first.
No way. Leave us alone.
She covered her ears with both hands and shook her head. Like a tragic heroine.
Come on, George, let's go. I don't want to be here anymore.
My sister, clinging to my husband's arm, said abruptly, and they both left. My son spoke to me as I stood still.
Mom, are you okay?
I knew I should stop them or chase after them, but even without doing so, they would probably come back soon. However, being told to divorce and leave like that was not something I could easily forgive. Well, what should I do now? Several hours later, late into the night, my husband returned home alone. I was wondering what the first word he would say.
You deceived me.
He said with an angry red face.
Things aren't as you told me.
My son and I were dumbfounded. Deceived? Things aren't as I told? What is he talking about? It seemed like wild accusations. What I told my son last night. You probably weren't listening because you were so obsessed with your game. My sister was living a luxurious life in a mansion in Brazil. That's because she had a wealthy husband. This is my sister Emily that my husband knows. Her husband was domineering and often turned his anger on her. He was controlling and selfish, causing arguments every day. While the luxurious lifestyle was appealing, she couldn't tolerate living like that with him and chose to divorce him. Because of the prenuptial agreement stating no property division, she'll be returning home almost penniless. I found it out over the phone before returning home.
I'll make him pay for my flight ticket at least.
It's absurd there's no property division. Why would you agree to such terms? I was indignant, but she seemed bothered.
It's done, so it's fine. Besides, prenups are common in Brazil, and the assets are in his parents' names. Actually, he has a lot of debt.
I was infuriated by her careless attitude, so I persisted. Stop being so nonchalant about it and handle this properly.
It's fine. Once I'm back in America, I'll catch another rich guy.
I couldn't believe what she, at her age, was saying. But strangely, I found myself somewhat agreeing. It sounded like something she would say. Though, I can't believe she'd catch my own husband. Did you think Emily would come back with lots of money? I asked, seeing my husband's guilty expression.
Well, after divorcing a rich husband, it's normal to assume she'd walk away with a fortune, right? But she's penniless, and it seems like she was after my earnings.
My son and I exchanged cold glances at his brazen attitude. Your earnings, huh?
What's with that look?
Oops, I must have given him scornful eyes. Aren't you two of a kind? You were after Emily's money, weren't you?
I'd rather be with Emily, who fell for me at first sight, than with a nagging, stingy wife like you.
But you understand now, don't you? My husband bit down his lip.
Yeah, you're right. It was a lie that she fell for me at first sight. I was over the moon.
That's why you left Emily behind?
I'm the one who got left behind.
He burst out, dropping his shoulders. Why?
Because.
I don't need you to say it. I know. I sighed. That's why I told you to listen to me. You both have misunderstood. Let me tell you about my husband. My husband worked for a renowned trading company for many years, steadily climbing the ranks and receiving promotions. That's my husband George, my sister knows. About 5 years ago, he fell ill. He had caught the eye of a tyrannical boss who subjected him to harassment. Despite being promoted to department head, his smiles dwindled, his appetite lost, and he went to work every day looking visibly distressed. I couldn't bear to see him like that, so I was the one who suggested he resign. There was no need to push himself until he broke down. We could manage with some budgeting. He quit his job and has been working at a factory as a non-regular employee since then. His salary was halved, but I became a full-time employee, and our son also found a job too. We're no longer struggling financially. Although my prideful husband felt down at times, he stopped worrying after I reassured him, saying, "You've worked hard to provide for us all these years, so it's fine." With his smile back, he repeatedly thanked me. I was relieved. As long as he stayed healthy, that was all that mattered to our family. However, it seems like my husband has completely forgotten about that. I didn't intend to come across as patronizing, nor did I have any intention of blaming him. We're a married couple and I believe we should support each other. Well, at least until today,
Hearing my story, Emily got mad and stormed off, saying I'm not the same person she thought I was. It's not my fault, is it?
It's your fault, Dad.
Our son interjected before I could respond.
What's with that tone toward your father?
I'm saying it after understanding everything. Mom deserves better.
My husband flinched, unable to retort.
Well, I got angry at your high and mighty attitude. You looked down on me, telling me to wash my own lunchbox, even though I was the one earning more.
Dad, please stop.
My husband seemed so small at that moment. Or perhaps our son had grown bigger. As someone who knows you both well, I can say that you and Emily are the worst match. I thought it was a joke to call her your soulmate.
Is that so?
I saw it coming from the start. My domineering husband and my sister who is freewheeling and a female chauvinist. There was no way they could get along unless there was some ulterior motive. They were blinded by each other's non-existent wealth. So, are we getting a divorce?
No, it's just that. It's more of a misunderstanding.
Be clear.
Well, I think your attitude wasn't great either.
Dad.
Yes.
My husband flinched under our son's glare, looking pathetic. It's time to make things clear. If Emily were to come back and ask you to marry her even though you're working as a non-regular employee, would you?
Huh?
Would you be willing to live with penniless Emily?
Huh?
She's your soulmate, right? I looked straight at him. As his face looked paler, he slowly shook his head.
I'm sorry.
Hey. He's saying like that. What will you do? I called out, and awkwardly coming from the back of the room was.
Huh, Emily? You're here.
Yeah, I'm here.
My sister stormed in, causing a scene about my husband's low-paying job after finding out about it and demanding accountability. As she was shocked by the truth, my husband came home, and she has been hiding.
That's terrible, George. You were only after my money.
No, weren't you too?
If he were still earning a high salary, were you seriously planning to take him from our family? I asked my sister, who vehemently denied it.
I'll be honest. I was desperate.
What do you mean?
I have no job, no friends, and I'm feeling anxious about the future. I thought if I had my sister's husband, I'd feel secure.
I see. After divorcing and returning home, she must have been filled with anxiety, longing for stability as soon as possible. I'm your sister, so I couldn't possibly understand your feelings.
Huh?
I'm not sympathizing with you. You were about to break up a family?
I'm sorry. Please forgive me.
Go back to our parents' house right now.
No way. I won't do that.
My sister had a strained relationship with our parents. Plus, she is infamous in our hometown, making her situation even more difficult. In a small rural town, someone who fled from a company introduced by family connections wouldn't be well received.
But you said you'd let me stay for a while.
It's not possible.
What?
I can't let my sister who tries to steal my husband. It's too risky.
I don't need George, who's just a non-regular employee. Anyway.
Even I wouldn't have bothered if you were broke.
Well, you see. I couldn't help but wonder how to deal with these immature adults, but before I could say anything, My son spoke up.
I want both of you to leave right away.
He said coldly, and the two of them swallowed hard at his words. Even with his gentle nature, my son's words carried an undeniable weight, instilling a sense of fear.
Ian, why were you laughing so hard earlier? Did you know this was going to happen?
My husband asked with a trembling voice.
I laughed because I was surprised and disgusted by my own father's shallowness.
My husband recoiled in fear. Even though he was smiling, the lack of amusement in my son's eyes was terrifying.
Dad, you can't live without Mom, yet you dare say such things.
Huh?
Mom spoils you, Dad, that's why you're still alive. Do you understand?
Huh?
My son had seen through everything. My husband's pale face turned rapidly red. He wasn't angry. He was embarrassed. After spending so many years together, I could read him like an open book.
If you understand, you should appreciate Mom. And Mom, you've been spoiling him too much.
I nodded with a wry smile. It was hard to tell who the parents were here. My son is really dependable. Once again, I felt confident in my success as a parent.
My apologies. Please forgive me.
It's not easy to forgive you. Can you understand how I felt when you mentioned divorce?
I'll wash the lunchbox.
What? Just as I was about to slap him, my son placed a hand on my husband's shoulder.
Dad! You're not serious, right?
Hey,
I decided to leave it to my trustworthy son. It was already late at night. It had been a long day. I contacted our parents and put my sister, who was suffering from jet lag, and her luggage on the overnight bus to our hometown. I wanted her to leave as soon as possible. Don't worry, with your cunning, you'll meet your next destined one soon enough. About a month has passed. My sister, who returned to our hometown, immediately called me.
I hate living in this countryside. I want to live at your place.
But that was clearly impossible, so I firmly declined. Now, she's found a job in caregiving through our parents' connections. I'm relieved, at least for now. Apparently, she had to sign a document promising not to run away again. However, after living in Brazil for so many years, she's quite naive, and plus her personality. I was worried she might cause trouble right away, but surprisingly, with her natural cheerfulness and sociability, she seems to have won over the elderly quite easily.
Being popular with the elderly won't get you anywhere. Where are the rich, handsome guys?
Oh, sister. You might have looked young in Brazil, but you're already 45. It's about time you realized that your chances are slim in the countryside. Relying on someone else to live is naive. You should start learning the skills to live on your own from now on. And show some gratitude to our parents, who have worried about you so much. No matter how much time passes, my husband never seems to improve at household chores. The laundry comes out wrinkled, he fails at cooking even when following recipes, and he manages to make a mess while cleaning. It's starting to wear me down. But I'm not going to go easy on him. Do it again. Enough is enough.
I'm sorry.
If you keep forgetting, then take notes. Don't you even know that?
Yes.
My goodness, Dad. You really have no sense.
My husband's pride is crushed by the mocking laughter of our son. But he seems to understand his position as he endures without complaint for now. His ultimate goal is packing a lunch. Considering the color and nutritional balance and packing them neatly into the designated containers is an advanced level task among household chores. He also needs to keep track of inventory in the fridge. Once he understands the challenges of being the one who prepares meals, there's no choice but to wash the lunchbox. We made a vow, didn't we? I won't let you forget that. Joy and sorrow are to be shared equally. Yes, both work and household chores are to be divided equally. Equality is a given. Couples should support each other in life.